Man, I have been struggling learning this experiment. I thought it was some of this, and here. Where's the kaboom? Oh. Hey guys, I am so happy you're joining us. I have been trying to work on this experiment all week. I got my mad scientist hair, my quarantine hair going on, and I have not been able to figure this out. I'm still learning about this science experiment, and you know what? I think it means I still need to learn about humility. So kids, we're gonna give you 10 seconds. Go grab your parents and let's see what Hadley can teach us this week.
Parents, thanks for watching this video with your kids. By joining us, you are making this week count, and you're investing in your relationship and your kids' relationship with Jesus. To continue having meaningful conversations with your kids, we will provide a few questions at the end of this video. Kids and parents, all month long, we've been learning about humility and how Jesus turned everything upside down with humility. We like to put ourselves first, but humility is putting others first by giving up what you think you deserve. Every day, we have chances to show humility by putting others first. Maybe it's letting someone go in front of you in line, or maybe it's giving up your favorite position that you play. But really, it just means that you think of others more than you think of yourself. And that doesn't sound easy. It's not. But with Jesus and how we can remember how he showed humility, he can help us. He put us first. So come on, let's get to our feet and let's put him first. So come on, let's sing and let's dance.
Waking up knowing there's a reason. All my dreams come alive. Life is for living. With you, I've made my decision. You lift me up, fill my eyes with wonder. Forever young in your love, this freedom's untainted. With you, no moment is wasted. See the sun now bursting through the clouds, black and white, turn to color all around. All is new in the Savior I have found. This is living now. This is living now. You lead the way, got your eye beside me. In your love, I'm complete. There's nothing like living with you. This life you created, I choose. See the sun now bursting through the clouds, black and white, turn to color all around. All is new in the Savior I have found. This is living now. Living now. You take me higher than I've been before. It's your perfect love that sees me soar. God, your freedom is an open door. You are everything, one and more. This is living now.
I love that song so much. In God's big story, there's a book called Philippians. Paul wrote this book for a bunch of reasons, one in which he couldn't visit the town himself because he was in prison. Paul loved to remind people of Jesus' example. He wanted to encourage them to live like Jesus did. In Philippians 2:3, it says, "Don't do anything only to get ahead. Instead, be humble. Value others more than yourself." As you deal with one another, you should look and act as Jesus did. Jesus was equal to God, but he didn't take advantage of that fact. Instead, he made himself nothing. He did this by taking on the nature of a servant. He appeared as a man, and he was humbled and obeyed God completely. He did this even though it led to his death. Jesus is the greatest example of humility. So let's see today's story and if it can teach us about humility.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. And now for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verses 3 through 8.
Jesus' life and death and resurrection changed the way everything works. It changed how we view others and how we treat them. One of Jesus' followers, a man named Paul, wrote about it in a letter to believers in Philippi. Don't do anything only to get ahead. Instead, be humble. Value others more than yourselves. As you deal with one another, you should think and act as Jesus did. Jesus was equal with God, but Jesus didn't take advantage of that fact. Instead, he made himself nothing. He did this by taking on the nature of a servant. He appeared as a man. He was humble and obeyed God completely. He did this even though it led to his death. Let's imagine how this truth might play out today. Angus McCrane had been up since 5:30 a.m. for his job as a school bus driver. After 3 morning routes, he skipped lunch to clean out throw up and a spilled soda from the back of his bus.
Yuck.
Then there were 3 afternoon routes and a whole stack of paperwork waiting for him at the bus garage at the end of the day. So by the time Angus got home, he was starving. He couldn't wait to dig into this delicious ribeye he'd picked up.
Gonna fire up that grill right away.
While the grill heated, Angus prepared a baked potato and sauteed green beans.
A little salt, a little lemon. Doo-doo-doo.
Then he seared the steak to perfection and slid it on his plate alongside the fluffy baked potato and crisp green beans. Ooh.
Thank you, Lord Jesus, for this food. Amen.
Angus sliced off a corner of the sizzling steak and skewered it with his fork. But before he could take a bite,
Oh, for goodness sake.
with a regretful glance at his steak, Angus headed over to his front door and opened it. His new, chipper neighbor Marge stood there, holding an enormous Siamese cat.
Hello, Marge.
I am so sorry to barge in, but I just found out about a super last-minute work trip, and I don't have anyone to watch Boris while I'm gone.
Angus just stared at the cat, and the cat stared back, smugly, as if he knew Angus hated cats.
Well, I gotta tell you, I've never been around cats much.
Oh, that's no problem. I've got everything you need right here.
Angus looked past Marge to see several bags and boxes, plus an entire carpeted climbing tree.
So, could you do it?
Angus glanced sadly at his quickly cooling steak, but he could see Marge was a little desperate.
Well, okay.
It took Marge nearly 10 minutes to explain every little detail of Boris the cat's care. Finally, Angus was alone again with his steak. And Boris.
Yeah, better keep those fuzzy paws away from my dinner, you hear me?
But before Angus could take a bite,
What on earth?
Angus jumped up and hurried over to the side window. He could see exactly what had happened.
That boy.
Zachary Kircher was the kid who lived next door. He loved sports but didn't have good aim. He'd already dented Angus's car with a baseball and destroyed a patch of petunias playing soccer, and this time it was a rogue football that had hit the window.
At least didn't break the glass.
Angus saw Zachary scrambling to recover the football and make his escape, but as he tried to hop the fence, he stumbled.
Serves him right.
When Zachary got up, Angus could clearly see that he'd badly gashed his knee. Angus sighed, thought mournfully about his steak, and opened the window.
Zachary!
Sorry, Mr. McCrane. I'm leaving.
No, just hold on a minute. We gotta clean up that knee.
So Angus grabbed his handy-dandy first aid kit and headed outside. It took another 10 minutes to clean out all the dirt from Zachary's scrape and get it all bandaged up, and finally, Angus sat down to dinner again for the third time. His steak was barely warm.
I am so hungry I could eat the entire cow.
But before he could take a bite,
That don't sound good.
Angus ran to the front window. It appeared that the neighborhood ice cream truck had swerved to avoid Zachary, who had ran into the road to chase his football. Big no-no. And now that truck was listing sideways on a flat tire.
You have got to be kidding me.
Angus opened the front door and headed down the sidewalk. The poor teenage driver was checking out the damage.
It's my first day on the job. I wrecked the truck. They'll fire me.
No. It's just a flat, son. You wait right here.
With a deep sigh, Angus headed back to his garage, grabbed his handy-dandy toolkit, and showed the young driver how to remove the flat tire and replace it with a spare.
Thanks. I'd totally give you an ice cream sandwich, but they might fire me for giving stuff away.
Angus wiped the grease off his hands as he watched the ice cream truck ramble down the street. Speaking of ice, his dinner must be stone cold by now.
Excuse me?
Angus jumped a mile to see Marge standing behind him. She was wearing oven mitts and holding a hot apple pie. Steam seeped from the cracks.
I can't eat this since I've got to leave. I thought you might like it.
Well, glory be.
Angus inhaled the heavenly smell.
First I interrupt your dinner, then you help that kid next door, and now changing a flat? You sure put others first.
I don't generally feel like doing it, but thank you.
Angus happily accepted the apple pie. This time he would be putting dessert first while his dinner reheated in the oven. Now, it would have been a lot easier for Angus to just eat dinner and ignore the people around him who needed help, but little by little, God was helping him serve others, just like Jesus did.
There's a question that people used to ask years ago, and it's still good to think about today. WWJD, what would Jesus do? In the moment when you feel frustrated and angry, it can be hard to stop and ask yourself, what would Jesus do? It's important to press pause, take a breath, and then choose to respond in a humble way. What would Jesus do? He would choose humility. He already did choose humility. He put you and me first. Now, in our normal everyday lives, with the people all around us, we can follow Jesus' example and we can put others first. Because remember, put others first because Jesus put us first. And we can do it with God's help. So parents, we're gonna take some time and we're gonna let you pray. Just pray that Jesus helps you guys choose humility. Pray for things and just the craziness of everything going on. So we're gonna give you 30 seconds. Go. I just love that you guys are praying together as a family. That is just the coolest thing. Whoa, Kyle, what are you doing?
Well, you know how I have been working on this experiment all week long?
Yeah.
Well, I thought of something and I want to show you guys because it's going to work this time.
All right, Kyle.
But I want to bet you 10 push-ups that if I get it to work this time, then you have to do the push-ups. But if it fails, then I will do the push-ups.
Looks like he's doing a ton of push-ups.
Ha! Hadley thinks I'm gonna do push-ups. You're gonna do push-ups. All right, here we go. You know, the key to this really is what I found out is that you gotta get your hair right. That's really what the key is. And so I've been messing up, just not getting my hair right. But this time is gonna be good. Now, if I do this right, what you will see is the colored foam coming out of both of these. Here we go. Boom, baby, it looks like Christmas. I'm giving away push-ups, Hadley. Hey, you know what, Hadley? Since we've been learning about humility, I'm gonna practice it. You deserve to do those push-ups, but I'm gonna put you first in front of me. I don't wanna watch you do it. I'm gonna take your push-ups and practice humility. Here we go. All right, 10 push-ups for you. 1, 2, 3, oh! Woo! Does that count?
Kyle, you are a mess. Again. But thanks for putting me first, just like Jesus did. Talking about Jesus, when people talk about him today, there are so many amazing things that we can remember about him. We look back on his life, his teachings, the way he treated people, and no one had ever shown that kind of humility that Jesus did. The way he treated people was unforgettable. Jesus had put people first, showing them love, showing them compassion, and even when no one else would. And of course, the biggest, most incredible act of humility that he's shown was that he gave his life for you and I. That single act was completely upside down. From the way things normally worked, it had changed the whole world. Today, we can follow Jesus' example and treat others all around us with humility and put them first, whether it's someone we have just met or someone we've known our entire life. The bottom line is we can put others first because Jesus put us first. Hey kids, let's try and practice humility this week. Parents, like I said at the beginning of the video, we're gonna have questions at the end so you can continue to discuss with your kids about what humility is and how it looks. So, you guys got this, and we'll see you next week for our last week of humility.